Hey everyone, I know I told you last week that it was the day after Hometown Haunts and Hops. It still is. I'm recording this at the same time, so my energy is barely there. It was a very, very long day. It was a very fun day, a great time. We had the Ghostbusters car. We had the Raccoon City Police Department. Tons of vendors, music by Tommy Reedy, an after party with Bayside High. It was just one thing after another, and it was so much fun. And part of what made it really fun is Matthew G. Taylor, actor, stuntman, known for playing Nemesis in Resident Evil Apocalypse. So we recorded that panel as well, and we're going to put it up here as this week's podcast, because I'm probably still in a coma recovering from the event. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. He was so great to talk to, an absolute delight. In the car ride to the airport, he was trying to tell me that he didn't have a Canadian accent. You have a listen here, and you let me know what you guys think, but I hear it for sure. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, it was such a good time, and I apologize that I am very spacey and very tired. So I'm gonna end this for now, and you guys enjoy this podcast / panel, and we'll be back to our regular scheduled. I was gonna say high energy. I don't know if I'd ever classify myself as high energy, but normal energy, Andy, next week. So. Hopefully we'll see you guys next year at the Hometown Haunts and Hops, and if you see Matthew coming to any con near you, go check him out. He's a super nice guy. See you guys next week. We're here with Matthew G. Taylor.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. It's been a long day, man. Like, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, man. No, it's been fun. It's been nice. The crowd's been great. The town's awesome. I've enjoyed every minute, so it's been
nice.
Great. Yeah.
Nice. This has been our biggest event we've ever done, so I appreciate you taking part.
Love it.
It's been a really good time.
Yep.
And so you are. How do you go from police officer to stuntman to demon killing machine?
Before I got into policing, I worked at a club. I worked door at a local establishment in
It was
Toronto
the best
area.
behaved club ever.
Yeah, we don't be surprised. It was actually a really tough club. It was known to attract motorcyclists. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
So,
yeah, sure, yeah.
it was,
We've had those.
It's a rough
downtown.
rough bar.
Yeah.
I was probably a little out of my league, but at that age, you got the chip on your shoulder, so you think you can handle it. Didn't have any issues there, but I did meet someone. His name's Frank, and he was a writer for TV and film, an aspiring writer. And he was repped by somebody at the time. I didn't realize he was even in that industry. So fast forward, I got to know Frank as a patron in the bar. And then fast forward about probably 2 years, I got on the police service. And I ran into Frank at a just happenstance. I went back. I was living in Toronto at the time. I went back to Burlington to meet up with some buddies and go out for a bite to eat. And I ran into Frank just coincidentally at the restaurant. And he approached me. He said, "Hey, man, good to see you." He goes, "You know what? I've always thought you had a good look, and I think you do well in TV and film and commercials, etc." So he introduced me to his agent, who repped him as a writer.
Yeah.
And that became my first agent. So it was literally just
It's so
right?
funny how like that sort of thing happens. Like I've been at panels where like Jeremy Bullock, who played Boba Fett,
Yep.
and Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO, and they're like, "How'd you get the role?" And they're like, "I fit in the suit."
Yeah.
It was literally that was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just that simple.
No, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
from there, I built up a resume, and that was 96. And then fast forward 8 years, that's when Resident Evil came along. So, but that's essentially how I got in the business, which led to me getting, this part and of many other great parts before and after that. So, yeah.
How do you feel about the whole makeup process? Because I feel like that's got to be That's the thing.
Specific to our Resident Evil? Or,
yeah,
or
I mean, just in general. Because, like, I hear people like, oh, it's like 6-8 hours of makeup. And I'm like, that's a work day.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say 6 or 8 hours from my experiences. I've been in the chair a lot. And for a lot of the films I've done, early morning hours are painful. And at the end of the day, after you've done a 12 or 13 or 14-hour day, 15-hour day, depending, that can be equally as painful. Touch-ups all day long, but you get to know the artist, you get to know the crew, the makeup crew, and it becomes just part of your day. There's certain parts of getting makeup applied that, it's a little more aggravating when they're up and around the eye and stuff like that, but more so. But I've had a lot of prosthetic work done over the years on shows I've done, and it's not that I enjoy sitting in the chair, but you make the most of it.
Yeah.
And you get to know the people, and it just becomes part of the day, and just, it's your, social time. Yeah.
To me, to just being like, I've always loved Halloween. Mm-hmm. I've always had fairly elaborate costumes, and doing an elaborate costume around a beard is always an issue. But it's like, that's always been my favorite part. Like, is that something that like you sought out that you wanted to do, or is it that's just how the cards like were dealt?
Now, specific to your question, you're talking about doing parts that involve that?
Yeah, like, do you seek out those parts, or do they just kind of come your way?
Oh, man. You know what? It's not so much seeking out. No, most of them have just come my way.
Yeah.
And opportunities presented itself. And yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have some really amazing parts. And a lot of those have involved sitting in a chair and getting makeup done, and spending the time before and after you're out on set shooting, either getting into makeup or out of makeup. But I mean, been fortunate where I haven't personally, and I have an agent.
Yeah.
Right. And agents typically submit you for the roles that you get. And then there's a little bit of follow-up sometimes after, especially if they're interested and there's traction there, then your agent will go to bat and start working them and trying to get you the part, because they may be considering other actors as well. But being represented makes that part easy, because as an actor, you typically want someone speaking for you and marketing for you and promoting for you, right, when you get those parts.
Do you ever feel, I mean, like, we're the same build, like, we're the same height, same build. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Do you ever feel like typecast where you're like, no, I don't want to break the guy's legs, I want to, like, talk about his feelings? Do you like, kind of push towards those other roles? Yeah,
that's when you're, and I used to be a lot built differently, bigger. So I would say,
okay, whatever. I used to dwarf you 6 times. Yeah.
So yes, you take the pigeonhole you're given, or that you're slotted in, and you exploit that, and you work with it, because you can't fight nature. You can't fight the way you look.
Tell me about it.
You probably won't get more part.
We're just too handsome.
It would literally involve turning parts down in hopes that they start cashing for other things, but that's a tricky card to play. Yeah, a risky card to play, rather. That being said, you take what you can get, and you work, and you'd be grateful for that, and I've worked hard to, in my younger years to keep a certain look and image, and, that's been my calling card. That's what's given me what I've got. So
that's so cool. Mm-hmm. And I've had a weird experience today. Like, I was walking through the con and just talking and joking with, people, whatever. And someone stopped me. They're like, hey, I recognize your voice. You're from that podcast. I mean, there's dudes sitting right there that built a car about the movie that you're in. Like, is there that, like, weird, like, that's absolutely crazy that happened? Like,
yeah. It's
how do you deal with that?
There are moments.
I give a guy a hat, and I was like, I'm the greatest.
Yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah,
it is when you
That's
see
so cool.
fans like Steve that bring their that put their heart and soul into something you were involved in, and it definitely means a lot to see it. To be honest, that's a big reason why I do these shows, and Jen and I do these shows, is to come out and meet the people that you admire the work you do, and the reason you get to do the work. So. And you can see some amazing places and everything else along the way. Yeah. So it's all encompassing for us, and
yeah, it's cool. You get to kind of travel around and
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, I mean, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but as evidenced, I feel like when we announced that you were coming to this, Resident Evil has a massive, rabid fan base across multiple video games, movies, everything like that. So it's really cool to see, especially everything that we have here today. I saw someone walking around that I think probably should have been in the running for the top of the costume contest, dressed up like one of the characters in the most recent Resident Evil games.
I honestly think she probably second.
I don't know how anyone else. I mean, I honestly, we've been up here a lot, and I haven't really seen everybody that's been in costume, but it's wild. So. It just has to, it's incredibly cool to see like the reaction that you get. It's got to be awesome for you. I mean,
it is.
That's
like
great.
I said, humbling for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm so old and out of video games. These guys are like, I have a Raccoon City police cruiser. I'm like, cool. What's that?
Those games, the original ones, scary.
Did you play the games before taking the role? Did you get cast and be like, I should play that game, or how much research goes into that?
Well, again, good question. I'll research as best I can for the parts that I go out for, if there's time.
Yeah.
Sometimes there just isn't time. Now it's easier. Back in the day, the internet wasn't what it is now. So it would have been more difficult back when I did a Resident Evil to research it like you would be able to these days.
Yeah.
So no, I know video game history. Never was a gamer. I grew up in a very strict household with no video games and limited TV exposure. Sorry,
not even Atari.
My buddy had Atari, so I would get to play it at his place. But I never had those sorts of things growing up. So you are typically a product of your upbringing.
Sure.
And just never got into the video game way of life as an adult growing up. So I can appreciate them. I've been exposed to them, but that desire and passion that I don't have, but I respect it.
Yeah.
And obviously even more because of what I represent with the Nemesis. So
nice.
Yeah.
Do we have questions from the listeners that have a police car based on Resident Evil? I mean, you guys have been talking to them all day.
Right? Yeah, I was like, crap.
Yeah.
I got. Go ahead.
It's just the
Steve.
big one. It would be the main Alice. I'm so bad with her name.
Mila.
Mila. Yep.
How was working with her? I mean, you fought her in the movie, so.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah, really good. I've worked with her quite a bit, and mostly, we worked on set, obviously, but a lot of the time we spent was rehearsal, fight rehearsals, choreography. The fight scene we did was about 150, 60 moves. So it was a big fight sequence. It involved, some weaponry and it was a lengthy fight. So it involved a lot of prep and just getting the fight down. That thing with the choreography and fight scenes is they want it to look real. And that includes not just being able to throw a punch or throw a strike or swing a sword. It's about being able to react to getting hit too. So it's all about timing, and it takes time to get that down. So
was there like crossover from your work on the police force and that kind of like fight training where you obviously you know what it's like to be hit and hit people and like.
You know what? I think what it comes down to more than anything, I wouldn't say there was a large correlation there with my law enforcement, so much as just athleticism. I did martial arts, and I've been, for a big guy, I was athletic.
Yeah,
that's a big reason why I got cast for the part as well.
Yeah,
they did have someone else in mind that was queued up for the part, but they weren't as athletic. So that's kind of where I stepped in and was chosen. Just for my ability to move for the size I was. So I was probably about 325 pounds when I did that part, 320. So put in perspective, I'm 270 now, so that much more weight and still being able to move is rare.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in the costume, because that was a concern they had is can you move in the costume?
Sure, yeah.
Because it's very restricting. It is weight. It's long days.
I mean, I totally feel you. I broke my ankle walking across the street. So me and you, we're the same. Like totally. So You got a question? I think I jumped.
No,
in.
I was going to say, I was like, what do you think of Plymouth so far? I know you only been here for a little bit of time. Do you enjoy it? It's a good time.
Yeah, Plymouth.
Yeah,
Woo,
there
we enjoyed it.
Yep, there we go. Crowd. All right.
We wish our flight was a little bit later tomorrow, so we had some time tomorrow.
Leonore said the same thing. Like I was
it's
trying to
too
get you
bad,
guys
but-
out of here on time. And,
It's
yeah.
all good, brother.
Yeah.
It's all good. No,
Next time.
Absolutely,
Get
and
you
we'll
a
make it
couple
back.
days,
We'll
yeah.
make it back down
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, beautiful town. It would just it would be nice to do a trip
Did you stop by the Rock?
up and down the coast. Sorry,
Did you stop by the Rock?
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did,
I can
yeah.
tell by your face you're incredibly unimpressed.
You know what? It was kind of built up that it was small in my mind. So
I'm so glad because Leonore was very excited. I'm like, you need to rein that in.
I was expecting
Yeah.
it to be less than it was, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
They
wow,
had it
okay, all right,
cordoned
so,
off. It was
yeah.
very official. And,
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of neat to see. Yeah.
Has there been a highlight so far?
Aside from
How's
the
the
lobster rolls.
lobster
Oh yeah,
There you go. I knew those were coming.
Yeah.
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 And the show,
you don't get a lobster.
Of course, the show has been
Yeah.
great. But yeah, just the weather. I mean, it's really the weekends come
Honestly,
together.
you guys could not have lucked out more with the weather that we've had here this weekend. It's honestly,
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
so angry about the weather this summer. It has been the bane of my existence. I mean, it's great today, but it would have been kind of like nice to have a little fall, crisp bite in the air. I want to see someone wearing a flannel and some Uggs and some apples, but people are like
fall vibes.
bikinis and speedos out there. It's hot as hell. Yeah.
No, it's warm.
So, yeah.
I got one for you, Matt. I feel like as a man of Irish ancestry from Massachusetts, you have to know how big of a cult classic the Boondock Saints is down here. And I know that you worked on the sequel.
You're in that.
What was
That's
your
right.
experience? What was it like working on the sequel to that movie?
Well, my career has been divided into acting and stunts, and I would say it's probably it's been a 60 or maybe closer to 70-30 split. 70 being acting, 30 being primarily just stunts focused.
Yep.
So that was a stunt part I did. I don't know if you remember the part I played in it or not, but in the hull of the ship,
Yep.
I fought the character, and I'm bad with remembering this actor's name. Help me out. The Hispanic.
I'm not sure either.
I honestly don't know if I've ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen the first
Do
one
we have a
100
researcher
times.
behind
Yeah, we
that?
do.
Okay.
Research, get on that.
Boondock Saints 2. First one who gets it.
That's
you got the balls.
that's Fish. He's our Fugel. So
Yes.
all right.
Yes. And yes. Say the name again. Clifton Collins.
Oh,
yeah.
Pretty quick, right? Yeah.
right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's why we keep him around, Matt.
Yeah. So I fought him in the hull of the ship. It was in that scene. Wow. This is my 50-year-old brain kicking in here. Walking Dead.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
Oh, Norman Reedus. Yeah.
Yes. And the other, and which
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah,
Patrick
Sean-
Flannery.
yeah.
Yes. We're in that scene watching the fight, so it was kind of cool. Just being affiliated with that because I know Norman Reedus kind of got a little bit of fame.
Oh, big
afterwards. So
Oh,
time.
sure.
little zombie show that he was in, right?
yeah,
right.
little known. Yeah.
Like running with the deceased or something.
Yeah, something like
Something like that. Yeah.
So
you may hear about it. eventually.
I'm sure someone's seen
Got
it.
his own spin-off now too. He's got his own show. Like unbelievable.
So I've heard a lot of stories about John Rice Davies and people kind of taking liberties with stuntmen and kind of not holding back when they should. Have you ever had that experience where
As far as just
someone
push-
someone just hitting you? Let's be
Not pulling their punches.
Yeah, just punching you when they were supposed to miss you.
Yeah, well, actually, we watched season 3 of C the other night, and I played in that. I played the main villain in that movie or that series with Jason Momoa. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of that or not, but
He looks just
I
like
played
me.
a character
Yep.
called
We're the
Matt.
same height too. Yeah.
I had a
Me and
beard.
Jason Momoa. Yeah, we're
I
like
had
the
a
same.
beard just like
Yeah,
yours.
yeah,
But it was not a real beard. But I fought one of the characters in the final fight scene, and the guy who was punching me, who stabbed me, and I pulled the sword out, and then he actually connected on my lip. I took a picture of it. So it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes to mind just because we watched that literally last week. But yeah, it's going to happen. You're going to get hit.
Is it just kind of like you shake it off and be like, yeah, that's how it goes?
Yeah,
or you
when
kind
you're filming,
of...
you get adrenaline going. It wouldn't hurt, or you wouldn't feel it as much as you would if it was just someone coming up and cold cocking you outside.
I would cry right now if Mike accidentally bumped into me.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't know if I can relate.
Yeah. But as far as pushing the envelope, yeah, naturally, stunts can be tough on the body, and they want bigger. The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
So everything has to be big when you do stunts, and anything on film has to be big. It doesn't read otherwise.
Have you ever looked at a stunt and been like, I'm not doing that. Like that's
Yep.
That's unsafe. I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. My life is more important than your silly film.
Yep. I shot something in mocap once, and it was for a show that never really took off several years ago, and they wanted me to just do a face plant on concrete. So literally, it was a concrete floor, and the director wanted me just to face plant, like no knees. Normally, when you fall, you use your knees to break the fall, and you go down, and you still sell the fall, but you use your knees on the way down,
Sure.
right? So you don't shatter your face.
Yeah.
He didn't want knees. I did it several times. It would look great. I saw the foot. I saw the playbacks, but he wanted literally like a tree falling, and I said, not doing it. So, not worth it.
Is there a certain amount of if you do that, are you ever worried about kind of pushback or this might cost me jobs?
Well,
or
100%. Well, the stunt coordinator who I worked with on that, Rick Forsyth, I never, after that, didn't work with him again for a while. And as it happens, I just worked with him again. Now, I don't know if Rick held that against me, but I'm saying it's always possible. Rick's a good stunt coordinator, had been in the business a long, long time. But I thought in the back of my mind, okay, well, that's probably screwed me now for working with Rick again. But I ended up working with him again on Umbrella Academy a couple of summers ago.
Oh, such a good show.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yep, I'm glad that came up.
Yeah. What did you do on that?
In the final episodes, the final 2 episodes, there's 3 Guardian warriors that they have to battle.
Yeah.
I played the Samurai Warrior.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch that now because it was so good. Yeah. My youngest loved that show. Yeah.
So my costume for that, I believe the price tag on the costume was $250,000. Yeah, they had a bit of money
Hang
for
on.
around.
Hang on. I think I think I.
Yeah, you have that in your pocket.
Do you ever, when you're doing that stuff, do you ever stop and be like, this costume is $250,000, or are you just like, if I think about that, it's gonna screw up what I'm doing? I constantly am I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of focused on the end goal. Because if I stop and think about all the minutia, it's...
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. You can't kind of focus on letting people down. You got to focus on, impressing them, right?
Yeah.
So that's, it's all in your outlook, I guess. And that's going to probably translate into how well you do if you're focusing on the right thing as opposed to the wrong thing. So.
What's next? What does Matthew G. Taylor want to do next? Write, direct?
No, right now. Nothing,
I feel like every actor's like, I write, direct.
Nothing behind the camera. I've never had that itch or that desire to, thank you, to do anything behind. But,
so the strike is kind of wrapping up.
A little, yep.
Yeah,
not completely.
It's not done. But
it's definitely slowed things down.
But do you have? Obviously, there may be NDAs involved, but is something you're working on that you can talk about, or
No, I'm not. There's nothing right now that I'm involved in or that I've signed on the dotted line for, but that can change overnight. So, and the strike really has.
We can bring you downtown and scare the shit out of some people.
There you go.
You're a big dude.
That can definitely happen.
Yeah. Just lift them up over your head and yeah.
Imagine walking down Main Street in full Nemesis getup.
I'm not gonna lie,
unbelievable.
So I put you guys up in a hotel, literally right down the street from my house.
That, yeah.
So I drove by this morning and be like, if I see a giant guy walking down the street, I can be like, Matthew.
Yeah, you would have seen me.
Yeah. But no, this has been a really fun time, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you got in closing?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I'm way ahead of time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm
Sorry.
just appreciative of you being here, and you know the fact that you were the first guest that we booked for this event.
That's awesome.
The first
Yeah.
ever guest booked for the first ever hometown haunts and hops.
it's an
You know,
honor.
I'll
Thanks,
never.
guys.
The legendary
Yes.
greatest horror convention ever to
The
exist.
first annual hometown haunts and hops,
thrown by the
shall I
most
say.
handsome promoters
Yeah,
in history.
one at least.
I just saw that on
one.
Wikipedia. It must
Yeah.
be true.
But yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, it was nice to get to talk to you on the car ride on the way over here during this whole thing, and you know,
Absolutely,
just
dude.
we'd obviously would love to have you back anytime.
Yeah.
No,
Fun talking.
appreciate it,
Yeah,
guys.
of course.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, do you have anything? In closing, do anyone have
have
questions before we? I kind of.
Yeah, buddy, yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought.
Do I do voice? No,
I feel like you would kill at voice work.
Be great.
Yeah,
I've been told.
you should
Told
do
I have
more
a
of
voice
that.
for radio and a face for radio too. I don't know if that's true, but
Mike said that. I didn't say that.
yeah, I've never done anything. Never done. Obviously, I've done ADR, which is additional dialogue recording, but nothing specific to just voice only. No. But
You're not interested, or you're not?
you know, it's not that I'm not interested. It's just that it's kind of its own little industry of sorts, and it's one of those things. Once you get your foot in the door, just like film, you know, you kind of get known, then you become a go-to or someone that you're top of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. So if you're not in that little industry, you're probably not thought of. Why would you be, right? So it's about getting connected with the right people, as with anything, any industry in life, right? To kind of get that foot in the door. So yeah.
Do any vocalizations like for Nemesis? Or
Again, just ADR stuff, or just anything there, anything that you saw in the movie would have been me, with maybe some tweaking post production wise, but yeah. So yeah.
The voiceover thing is so interesting now because
Yeah, I know.
I'm a recovering voiceover hater because I'm like, oh, they're not actors, but they super are, and so much of it now is like mocap, and that is so much a big part of it. Like, how do you feel about like that kind of like mocap and like where it's such a blurred line now? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, is that something? Do you want to dress up in like gray pajamas? Like,
I've only done I've only done mocap once, and that was for the part I mentioned before where he asked me to do a face plant.
yeah,
That was big. It seems to have tapered off, and I think they're using different technologies now anyway.
Yeah.
than the old motion capture stuff.
well, yeah. Now they just want to scan you and never
exactly,
use
right.
you forever
Well,
and never
that's
pay
it.
you.
They don't.
yeah,
They don't need to.
Yeah, I mean,
put
what's
little
wrong with that?
sensors all over your
Yeah.
body, and because the technology is constantly changing, and I guess in their eyes improving, and which is scary in and of itself. But that's a whole other conversation too, as far as what they can do and achieve now without needing the high priced talent. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have an opinion on it yet because it hasn't affected me directly. But
If you could do one role,
yeah,
any role, what would it be?
wow.
And would it be different than your Halloween costume?
I don't know. You know what? I think it would be cool, and Jen and I have talked about it. We really enjoy the horror genre, and these conventions. So I think it would be neat to kind of reprise, a Jason Voorhees type role. So that'd be
Yeah, Kane
Love
Hodder.
that.
I've
Yeah,
been to a
Kane,
bunch
yeah.
of horror conventions with Kane Hodder, and I've seen him. A friend of mine went up and was like, "Hey, can I, get a picture with you?" He goes, "Do you want a scary photo or a normal photo?" And he goes, "Scary." And Kane Hodder grabs him by the neck and lifts him off the ground. He's like, "Ah!" Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
He's a wicked nice guy. I met him in Salem a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
It-
He's pretty funny.
I did a show in 2019, and he was at that show with Frightmare in the Falls. Never really interacted with him. He was busy, and I wasn't there for the whole weekend either. So
Yeah.
my time was tight. But it'd be a neat experience just to be part of that franchise.
Play something so classic.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome
for sure.
Well, there hasn't been a new Friday the 13th movie in a number of years, which is kind of a shame. But I would absolutely throw your hat in the ring for
Yeah.
Jason Voorhees if they were to make another one. You said you're a fan of the horror genre. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Definitely Friday 13th is one that from childhood that I would definitely say is up there. I mean, I enjoyed the Ring series, the Ring movies too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are fun.
You know, they're not spoken about a lot of these shows. You don't see a lot of the press on that end. Wow, I don't want to ask Jen because she doesn't like horror movies.
No, not a fan at all. No.
I mean, obviously The Exorcist and a lot of the old school stuff I enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Matthew, this has been so much fun.
Likewise.
Absolute blast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
I'm going to give a weird shout out to IKEA.
Okay.
Because these are IKEA chairs, and I was setting them up last time. I'm like, oh, this Matthew's just gonna like snap through this
right?
chair. These are like rickety as shit, and so shout out to IKEA for the Svengali. Whatever, I don't know what these are called.
Andy, to be fair, we've been. I mean,
I'm probably heavier than he is.
No. Wow, he's so self-deprecating. I wasn't going to say anything like that. I've been up here for like 3 hours straight, and these chairs are pretty comfy.
They're pretty comfy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not bad. So-
It was a joke. You didn't really have to shout them out, Mike. But no, thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody.
Thank you to the guys for the Raccoon City. And thank you, Matthew. This was an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
And you stick around. We got another podcast coming up. And there's more stuff going on downstairs.
Yeah.
And
Hometown
beer.
Ghost Stories up next. And hang out.
And
Have a blast.
Bayside
guys.
High at New World Tavern later.
That is right.
Yeah.
That is right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Woo!
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.